Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. It's a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express, the important news and editorial that will be relevant for the preparation of civil services examination will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 23rd of March. The first important news, that is Center attempts to open the corridor to Sharda Peeth in PoK. Second, that is High Seas Treaty, Key Provision and Challenges. This is from the Explain page of the Indian Express. Third, Prime Minister hold high-level review meeting on COVID. Fourth, Supreme Court to hear petitions seeking to criminalize marital rape. And the last is an editorial, that is the old pension scheme such as burden to poor. Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And if you're new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful for your examination purposes, do press a like button. And if you're someone who's looking forward for answer writing platform, we at Apti Plus are providing you answer writing for the mains examination. Right. Apart from this, we have NCERT quick book both for history and geography. You can buy these books by redirecting you to the website link which I have provided in the description section of this video. Now, starting the discussion, the first news, that is Center attempts to open corridor to Sharda Peeth in PoK, something important for General Studies paper 2 under the subtopic, that is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from a design and implementations. So recently, the Union Home Minister, and he's also the Minister for Cooperation, has said that government is looking forward to come up and open the corridor of Sharda Peeth in PoK, that is Pakistan occupied Kashmir, in lines of Kartarpur corridor. There are two important shrines that is operating in PoK region. If you see, the one is Dera Baba Nayak in Gurdaspur district of Punjab, and the second is Gurdwara Darbar Sahib in Kartarpur, Pakistan. So these are one of the most important shrine when it comes to Sikh religion. And in light of that, the government of India is coming forward with Sharda Peeth in PoK region. Now both sides allow pilgrimages to travel visa-free. These were some of the images that was released officially in the Press Information Bureau. Now about the Sharda Peeth, so this is something as abandoned holy site for Hindu community, and it is located near Neelam Valley, right, in the PoK, and Titwal village, that is the line of control in the Kupwara district of Jammu and Kashmir. So there can be a direct question in many other government examination about the river and geographical location. So make sure you remember this point. The shrine was regarded as a major center for higher learning of Vedic words, scriptures, and commentaries. So the significance and the location importance is there. Now the temple has been completely deserted in partition of during the partition in 1947, when India had undergone with the partition with India and basically Pakistan. At that point of time, it was completely deserted. Now, significance की अगर बात करें, the construction of Ma Sharda temple in Kupwara is a necessary and important step in directing the discovery of Sardar civilization and the promotion of Sardar script, and this is considered to be the original script of Kashmir. So those of you will be appearing for many other state government examination, direct question can be framed from here. Now about the restoration work that government is looking forward with. So the restoration and repair work is ongoing at 123 places, which include the temple and Sufi places. The first phase, the government has completed 35 places where the renovations with a cost of 65 crore rupees, and the government has organized 31 mega culture program that was organized to identify 75 religious places and Sufi shrines. Now moving to the other news, High Seas Treaty, key provisions and the challenges, something very, very important for your mains examination, right? I specify this as a mains because UPSC tend to ask this question directly in mains, and even to a larger extent, it will help you in the prelims also. Something important for General Studies paper 3 under the subtopic, that is the conservation, environmental pollutions, degradation and EI. सो अगर बात करें यूएन की सी ट्रीटी की, हाई सी ट्रीटी, दिस इज अ मेजर ब्रेक थ्रू फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम दैट द यूनाइटेड नेशन मेंबर्स हैव एग्रीड फॉर द कंजर्वेशन, and this consensus was made through a draft legislation which is known as UN High Seas Treaty. बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट ट्रीटी है जो कि हाई सीज ट्रीटीज में जो एनिमल है, जो मरीन इकोसिस्टम है, उसको प्रिजर्वेशन में काफी हद तक मदद करेगी. The High Seas Treaty work as an implementation of the agreement under the UN clause and like the Paris Agreement under the UN framework in the climate change. जिस तरह से पेरिस फ्रेमवर्क यूएनएफसीसी के अंदर काम करती है, उस तरह से हाई सीज ट्रीटीज वर्क अंडर यूएन क्लॉज. सो देयर कैन बी a direct question in the prelims examination asking about the ambit and the regulatory part. Now, some key provisions of the treaty. So there are four important major objectives of this treaty. First is the demarcations of marine protected area, better known as MAP, rather like there are protected in forest and wildlife. जिस तरह से forest में हम wildlife protect करते हैं, when the protection areas are signified, like we have a demarcation for the marine protection known as MPA. Then sustainable use of marine genetic resources and equitable sharings of benefit arising out of them. So the part of the sustainability has been emphasized in the marine genetic resources. Now, third is the initiation of a practice for the environmental impact assessment. This is better known as EIA for all major activities in the ocean, because there are a lot many other report. If you see IPCC report that has also raised concern about the EIA for the major oceans. Now, capacity building and technology transfer with other important areas under the treaty. Now, legally binding, agar baat kare kya legal status hai. So the unified treaty to protect biodiversity in the high seas is a legally binding agreement and conserve and ensure the sustainable use of ocean biodiversity. Very, very important point. There can be a direct statement from this point only. Now, the treaty called for comprehensive protections of the endangered species that has habitat now possibly more than 40% of the Earth's surface. And the treaty also established a ground rule for conducting environmental impact assessment for the ocean commercial activities also. Now, a new body for marine conservation and managing the conservation part will be there. So a unified treaty called for a biodiversity on high seas that will create and manage the conservation for ocean life, establish marine protected area on high seas, and it is critical to achieve the United Nations Biodiversity Conference pledge to protect 30% of the planet waters and its land for conservation. So what are high seas? As we are discussing this topic on the high seas treaty, something important that you must know, that what are high seas? So by definition, as per the international laws, high seas are the ocean that does not include the part of EEZ, that is Special Economic Zone. Apart from it, it does not include the territorial sea, internal water of a country, archipelagic waste, or archipelagic country. So these parts are not included under this definition of high seas. And this means that the high seas are associated resources and not directly owned or regulated by any country. Very, very important definition, directly relevant for the examination. And the high sea comprises of 64% of the ocean surface, about 43% of the earth. Now these are home to 2.2 million marine species and up to trillion different kind of microorganisms. Now, how vital is the high sea treaty for marine life? Will it have some impact? So definitely a key measures is there where the world international waters protected areas की अगर बात करें MPAs की, this will help to achieve and protect almost 30% of the ocean by 2030, which has agreed by the 22 UN Biodiversity Conference also. This could mean that limiting fishing activities, shipping route, exploration activities like deep sea mining. Now, environmental groups ने भी concern raise किए हैं about the possibility effect of mining and disturbing sediments that could create a noise pollutions and damaging the breeding ground for the marine ecosystem. Now, moving to the other news, Prime Minister hold high-level review meeting on COVID-19. In the recent time, in the few weeks, we have seen that the cases of COVID-19 has taken a surge. Although everything is pretty normal, but again, if something is happening, we need to be cautious about that. Relevant for General Studies Paper 2 under the subtopic that is issues related to development and management of health. So, amid the conditions of the COVID-19 and the surge in the cases, the Prime Minister has called for a high-level meeting, and this was specifically done in the backdrop of the spike in the influenza as well as COVID-19 cases in the past 2 weeks, right? तो प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने रेगुलर मॉक ड्रिल की बात की एंड इवन टू इनहांस द पार्ट ऑफ जीनोम सीक्वेंसिंग, राइट? जीनोम सीक्वेंसिंग is again an important aspect when it comes to positive samples and even to ensure the COVID appropriate behavior. This is what the Prime Minister said, that each and every individual should ensure that they are taking care of the COVID appropriate behavior. और genome sequencing की अगर बात करें, this will help to get the track record of the cases that is coming out from a specific place. Now, the Prime Minister has stressed that there is a need for far over, like, abhi just as a COVID-19 pandemic, almost it's over, but the Prime Minister has categorically said that the pandemic to be completely over will definitely take time and it is not going to vanish as early. Now, recent COVID-19 cases की अगर बात करें, a total of 1,134 cases has been recorded on March 21st. And a total active caseload is 7,026 and daily positivity rate of 1.09%, which is again a controllable number. If you see the second surge that was there, even the positivity rate was on a very higher side. These are the data from the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and says that India active caseload is 7,026. Now, some preventive measures. At this instances, only preventive measures will be helping us. So, Prime Minister has called for appropriate behavior, COVID appropriate behavior, that is wearing mask on hospital premises by certain patients. That is a concerned patient who is having symptoms of this. Health professional and health worker. He said that masks are advisable to senior citizen and those people or category of people who are in the comorbid categories. Now, he asked the officials to take necessary steps with regards to the drugs, beds, logistics, human resources that is available in the health facilities, and the government is monitoring the availability and the prices to maintain 20 drugs prices. Basically, बहुत सारे ऐसे drugs थे during COVID-19, the price was surge and black marketing was there, right? So this would to control this, and 12% drug eat buffer medicine on one influenza drugs also. The government has called for 5-fold strategy. Basically, this called for test, track, vaccinations, and COVID appropriate behavior. Apart from this, enhancing the lab surveillance and testing for all severe acute respiratory syndrome, also known as SARS syndromes. Now, moving to the other news, Supreme Court to hear petitions seeking on criminalizing part of the marital rape. Something important for General Studies Paper 2, that is structure, organization, and functions of executive and judiciary, right? So, Supreme Court has actually considered the petitions that was filed before the Honorable Supreme Court on the part of criminalization of the marital rape. And Supreme Court has said that it will hear the part of the petition on May 9th, 2023. So, still, there are a lot of stakeholders, lot of opinion coming out when it comes to criminalization of marital rape. Some are against it, some are pro, right? There's some positive aspect, there's some negative aspect, but we in this editorial will be looking at the neutral part. Now, the top court has said that January 16 has served the response from the central government, that what is the opinion of the central government when it comes to criminalization of marital rape. So this Attorney General of India has categorically said that they are ready with the part of their answer, but when the discussion will come up in part of the Honorable Supreme Court, quorum, then only they will come up with their revealing and their stand. Now, कुछ High Courts के order है इस context में. The Karnataka High Court has held that the husband was liable to be charged with a rape under Indian Penal Code if he is forcible having a sexual intercourse with his wife. But in this, there's a dissent opinion from the Delhi High Court, which has delivered the issues. It says that they have struck down the unconstitutional and exceptions of two sections of 375 in the Indian Penal Code. Now, what are the exceptions? The first exception that was given by the Honorable Supreme Court in 2017, which inferred that exceptions 2 of the section 375, that only the extent if protected has been from the prosecutions under the rape if the wife is not below 50, right? If wife is below 50, which was changed to 18. So if the wife is plus 18, there is no case of lodging any cases of rape or FIR against him. But if it is below 18, the state can take necessary action as required. Now, there was a committee, I think most of you must be aware, J.S. Verma Committee. This was formed after a gang rape which took place in Delhi for a paramedical student. She was declared dead after the incident. And on contrary to that, the recommendations, the government has come up with a committee which has provided a detailed recommendations to make rules and laws stringent when it's come to the laws on rape. The committee recommended that the criminalization of the marital rape, since the state is being married, does not guarantee its automatic consent. Now, moving to the editorial of the day, that is the old pension scheme as a burden on the poor, something important for General Studies Paper 2, that is the welfare schemes for the vulnerable section of the population by the center and the state government. So what we'll be discussing under this editorial first is the old pension scheme. That is the theme of this editorial. We'll look into the part of the national pension system, rising pensions liabilities, burden fall on whom, and the way forward. So if you see the background, what is a part of the old pension scheme? The demand for the old pension scheme is growing specifically. Why it is growing? Because some of the states have announced that they would be reverting to the old pension scheme. Even Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh have said that they will be coming up with the old pension scheme. Specifically, states which is not ruled by NDA or BJP government have categorically said this. Now, if you see the part of the OPS, that is old pension scheme, it is a retirement scheme which was approved by the central government to provide monthly pensions to the beneficiaries at end of their service. And this provide for a monthly fixed amount to sustain their livelihood. Now, under this, the pension is monthly fixed, equal to the half of the salary that was drawn by an individual. Now, about the national pension scheme, the national pension scheme is the latest retirement scheme which the beneficiaries were able to withdraw and the amount that they have invested during their services. And this was introduced by the central government in 2003 because post 2003 there were no OPS that was applicable, right? Now, it has made mandatory provisions for the new recruitees to the government services where from January 1st, 2004, all people who have enrolled in the government services will be liable for the deductions under the NPS, that is National Pension Scheme. Now, in consonance to this, the national pension system is like we see the 6th Pay Commission has substantially increased on the basic salary of the government and cover the pension contribution that promotes to the saving of the retirement expenses. Now, if you see the rising pension liabilities, who are the individual who have the rising pension liabilities? So, in the part of the 6th Pay Commissions, it was this was a politically tricky to withdraw the OPS from the existing employer, and when they were shifted to the NPS was introduced, this has created a lot more chaos, and even the government was many people have protested against the government decision. But as a result, the pension liabilities sustained and increased 9% of the total state expenditure, which has increased this in future also. The personal liabilities, which account for 1.2% of the GDP, is like the exact burden that is being carried by the state government. And even in 2004 to 19, the pension expenditure to the state have registered with the average annual growth of 16%, where total number of the growth stood up to 12.8%. Now, burden fall on those at the base. Many of the state have put to implement the 7th पे norms, जहाँ पे बहुत सारे states ने 6th पे commissions के जो area हैं उन्हें भी pay किया. And currently, bottom 50% of the population bear the burden of indirect taxations, and which is 6 times than their income. Definitely, the people who are dependent on pension will not be able to cope up with the current trend of the inflations, and it is definitely unsustainable for them to carry forward. And the provisions of educations in the healthcare indispensable as harnessing the demographic dividend or OPS facility की अगर बात करें, further monopolize the labor markets and private sector as their proprietary classes. Now, if you see the part of the facilities that were provided, even to a larger extent, the people find it stable. एक तरह से OPS जो की facilities दी जाती हैं after retirement is considered to be stable for tier 2 and tier 3 cities people. Now, way forward to protect the employees from the vagaries market, the government can tweak NPS to provide guaranteed monthly return. So, this provisions can be included in the NPS so that a guarantee amount is provided to an individual. And administrative reform is required to address the equal pay variances for the right. Participatory pensions for the government employees will provide more egalitarian outcome with the economy and acute, the part of the acute income inequality. So, in order to reduce this, some of the important measures has to come both from the central government as well as from the state government, and this should ensure a policy where the right of an individual, a right of a retired government employee, should be taken with the utmost priority. Now, moving to the MCQ questions of the day. Before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday questions. For first question, the correct option is C. For second question, also the correct option is C. Today's MCQ for practice, that is Earth surface mineral dust source investigations. It is a Earth venture instrument like mission. It is mineral composable of arid dust. It was installed at the Indian Space Station in July 2022. Do check it out for the correct option. Now, the second is about the lab grown diamond. It's a man made diamond that is different from its physical character, grown in beneath of the earth. And this is developed from the carbon seed placed in the microwave chambers. So, do check it out for the correct option. Practicing a lot more question will give you an added advantages for the upcoming prelims examination. You can check our prelims test series also, which is there. I've provided a link in the description section where you can directly find the details. So this was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis, followed by the MCQs. If you have any other concern, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.